Knock knock. If you were raised in a cult, but you're also part of the alphabet mafia, how would you survive? This is another horror stories of an ex J Dub. I was born into a family of J Dubs, several generation backs on both sides. My grandfather was an elder, and my father was not only an elder but presiding overseer. Thus, I was a kid on stage at age 5 telling everyone that his goal was to go to Bethel, and he barely understood what was involved in that. Pause. If you follow the playlist, then you know I talked about Bethel. But as a refresher, Bethel is a place witnesses will go to voluntarily enslave themselves. Everyone expected big things from me, but I can't honestly say that I had a lot of interest. Unfortunately for me, I really did believe that the witnesses were teaching the truth. Some things really did make sense to me. It was the only viewpoint of the world that I had exposure to. Above all, I just had the fear of, what if it really is the truth and I don't go along with it? I'll die. I was also the kid that loves being right, loved being praised, and I would snitch on others because it made me look better. If my life played out differently, I could easily see myself as this chippered, Stedford, brainwashed elder right now, probably married at 19, living a miserable life ever after. But one thing stopped that whole trajectory. I'm gay! Witnesses honestly didn't talk that much about homosexuality at the time, other than to say it's bad. I remember a picture in the book Live Forever where two women were standing at the altar in a church, both in their wedding dresses. I was fascinated by it, and I asked my mom what was happening, and she got really mad at me and didn't answer. I eventually did get baptized, and I greatly regret it, and there's two reasons why. The first was the Awake magazine that refined the witness definition of homosexuality. They claim that homosexuality is not a choice and that some people are just attracted to the same sex. But then they said that homosexuality is a thing because of imperfection and it was passed down by the original sin. And witnesses with such desires should never act on it. As a matter of fact, be celibate for the rest of your life. The second reason was because of a boy. Of course. Let's call him Evan. He'll come over to watch anime, we'll share stuff, and he kind of became my confidant to the point he'll let me vent to him about how guilty I felt playing tug of war with myself. He'll sit next to me at meetings, he'll put his arms around me. We even fell asleep in the car with our heads on each other's shoulders. Guys, I fell madly in love. Eventually, I decided that if the chance ever arose to sleep with Evan, hell, to do anything with Evan, I'd take it. I was choosing him over everything else. I even contemplated making the first move and coming out to him. I came very close to telling him one day when we were chatting in my room and somehow gay people came up. I said something along the lines of, well, they can't help who they are attracted to. And he said, bullshit, and followed it with some seriously vile homophobic things. Suddenly, the rose-colored glasses were off. I started to see all the secrets he kept and the lies he told, both to me and others. Maybe he didn't know I was gay, but he had to know I was into him. For starters, we wrestled constantly, and I was hard 100% of the time. So either he was bi and in denial, or he just got off on me being into him. Still, the first year I was baptized, I really gave it my all. I would volunteer for any responsibility that I could. I would make comments at the Kingdom Hall. I became a pioneer. And I realized pretty quickly that it wasn't making me feel any better. I still hated myself. I still felt isolated. I felt so guilty that I couldn't even pray to God because I felt unworthy. I tried to tell my parents I was depressed, but my father just refused to believe me. Eventually, I came out to a couple of my witness friends. One took it well, and then eventually got uncomfortable and stopped talking to me, while another was about as cool with it as a witness could be. I eventually came out to my parents as well, and they both made it absolutely crystal clear that if I ever had a relationship with a man, they will disown me. Time kept passing and I had my highs and I had my lows. One day my friend told me that I was getting too comfortable, acting too gay and too feminine, and that if I didn't want to be found out, I need to really commit, not only to acting straight, but to the witnesses. And I tried for a while. God, I tried. Apparently, it worked for a bit. According to the witnesses, I was definitely acting more acceptable and more masculine, but I was also dying inside. I think it was literally killing me. But it all came crashing down one day when I went to the beach with my parents. We got ice cream, and I was standing outside the booth eating when this guy with his really hot legs walked by. I started staring, and then I caught myself staring, and I got so mad at myself. I was cursing myself in my mind, thinking horrible things about myself, driving my nails into my palms so hard that they left marks. And that's when the moment of clarity hit me. It was a beautiful day. I was at one of my absolute favorite places, and yet I was too busy hating myself. What's worse is I was hating myself over something I couldn't even change. It was cruel. It was pointless. It was a waste of time. And then suddenly, I just gave up. Don't worry, he gave up the organization, not his life. However, if you're somebody that is struggling with your own identity within the constructs of the church, just know that you're not alone. And two, once you live your truth, you'll find your happiness.